supposed to be Jacklet of all trades, master of none. I can never get my head around that, and I chose the name. Anyhow, I'm going to be making stew today. So I've got a whole bunch of things all prepared, ready to go. This is going to be a beef stew, and you can make whatever type of stew you want. A lot of people like chicken stew. And you could use the same principle, just add chicken or pork or sausage. Doesn't matter. Whatever you choose, or not have meat at all if you want a vegetarian. So, like I said before, we like lots of carrots, so I've already done all the carrots. I'm just going to throw them all in. This is the liner to my slow cooker, because that's how I make my stews, in the slow cooker, because it's so much better. Oh, I've got some garlic here that I want to break off, or cut up a bit, not much, just enough to give it a flavor. Speaking of garlic, I had all my dehydrating in the dehydrator last night. Boy, did I smell garlic in the house. It did run for about 12 hours. I stopped it after 12 hours because I really think it's probably ready. I'm going to look at it right after we do this and see whether it needs any more time. You can judge with me, and then if it needs more time, we'll just put more time. My stews, I like everything nice and big. Like all my pieces are big. So if you like thin pieces, make them thin. Boy, my snow is disappearing like crazy. Kind of worried that we may have a drought this year. Unless we get lots of rain. I don't know if you ever heard the old wives' tale that for every day of hoarfrost in the winter, it's a day of rain in the summer. Now, we got a lot of hoarfrost in January, so I'm assuming that's probably going to be July. I hate to have July wet when, not to say that I don't mind if we need the rain. I don't care when it rains if we need it. But I like to have a decent summer. The garden needs rain in the spring and a little bit in the summer, not much, just a lot of nice warm hot weather. Of course, if we have to water, we will. My grandson wants to plant giant pumpkins this year in the garden. So he ordered the seed, he's paying for it himself. These are my own potatoes, and I save these little guys. I never throw them out. I save them for just exactly this, for stews, because they're perfect. I don't peel my potatoes for the most part, because that's wasting very good vitamins and nutrients and minerals. So I usually just wash them. I give them a good wash. I have a little a nail scrubber that I use to clean the potatoes, and and they're perfect. Now, I also cut up my beef already, but if you like smaller pieces, I like bigger pieces. There's a nice big piece of that I think I better take off. I don't want to hammer it because it's going to be really loud. But I like big pieces, so I keep them bigger. And that's stewing meat if you buy it, or I just use round steak. I have my own meat, so I just use what I have. Now these are frozen tomatoes and frozen beans, so that as well I'm throwing in there. So now I'm going to put the spices in. If you see, I got everything in here, all nice and, I'll just mix it up in my hand. Now, I'm going to grab a tea towel. Just hang on tight. So now I'm going to put the spices in. Salt, of course. Probably about a half a teaspoon to 3/4 of a teaspoon. Pepper. I like lots of pepper. That helps your body absorb all the nutrients that's coming its way. My little bottle of Worcestershire is just about finished, so I threw some water in it and mixed it up, and I'm just going to put some of that in. It's watered down, so I'm not putting as much as it looks like I am. And I also like to put my mixture of turmeric, cumin, and fenugreek. It gives, that's a little bit of curry flavor. If you don't like the curry, that's fine, but it's an excellent herb for, like I told you before, the turmeric helps my knees for the pain, and I always put it in for a lot of things I eat. Now, I have thrown some of my herbs in here. It's a mixture of marjoram and oregano. I use a lot of oregano because that too is an excellent medicinal herb. Oil of oregano, if you've ever heard of it. And so just I throw it in here over top. Now I'm just going to add water. Okay, I just grabbed some water. I don't usually put broth in here. You're certainly welcome to do that if you like. But I kind of feel it's a waste of broth because all these good vegetables and meat are going to produce a huge amount of their own broth. And then I just make gravy out of the broth. And we will also be making dumplings, and I'll show you how to do that as well. So I'm just going to clean this up, then I'm going to show you what's left of the dehydrator, how the food got out last night. Okay, I just pulled out the first layer, the first shelf of carrots, and it is nice and crunchy, and I'm going to show you, get up to that camera a little bit. If you can see, it's very hard and crunchy. That's exactly what you want. See how tiny they are? And I left it was a 1/4 of an inch big pieces. They really do dehydrate quite a bit. Now, to reconstitute your vegetables, you just put them in water. You give them an hour or two before you cook, or if you're having something like a stew, throw them in with the stew. Now this stew looks really nice. I'm going to have to get myself a jar to put these, and I'm going to mix these in to the same jar. Just look how much is left of the celery. That's why you really have to do a lot of celery to get a nice amount in your containers for the use in the winter. And these are the garlic, and if you see, they're still quite soft. So I'm going to chop them up some more before I put them back in and let them dehydrate a little bit more. I'll probably put something else in there with them, just so I don't waste the hydro. It was just one thing. And here is the ginger, and that really dried very nicely as well. It's a real nice dry, just like the carrots has dried. So that turned out very well. I'm going to put these in containers. And then we're going to go take a look at my plants that we started, what was that? February 10th, 11th. Today is the 23rd. So that's about 10 days. We're going to go see what they look like. Right? So today is February 23rd, and I'm just showing you what's happening to all the little plants. On this side here, I'll just move my hand. This is all cabbage and broccoli. In the center, those big thick leaves are artichoke. And towards the end there, what was the end of at the end of artichoke? And I can't remember what that was. We'll see soon enough. Then there's a celery, rosemary, lavender, and sage. Lavender and sage are at the very end, and there's hardly anything. They're very slow to start. You can see them coming, but they're very slow to start. The celery also is very slow to start. All those tiny seeds take a lot longer than those big seeds do. So I'm going to be moving out the artichokes fairly shortly, in another week or so, as well as the cabbage and the broccoli. As soon as the cabbage and the broccoli get the true leaf, and I'll show you what that looks like, then I move them out of there and make room for the rest, the tiny ones that I'm still having to grow. Now I've got it on a red light. It's a grow light. And the red helps the little seedlings root and get really strong. And then I'll switch it to the blue light, which helps the stems get very, very strong and sturdy. And then they go to both the lights, and then that just looks like regular light, and they grow. Okay, that's about it for now. Next will be, I guess I have to still show you how to do the dumplings. All right, here's the I just added a little bit more gravy mix. And this, I didn't really make my gravy. I just used some gravy powder and put it in water and throwing it back. Now this is in the slow cooker on high. It's already been 5 hours. It's all pretty much ready, other than for the fact that I want to just cover it up and let it get thicken. And I'm going to now make some dumplings and put them in. Okay, I'm going to make the dumplings. I've got 1 cup of flour in here, and if you want more dumplings, you put 2 cups, like you double the recipe. So right now it's 1 cup of flour, 1 teaspoon baking powder, not soda, baking powder. Now I put an egg. You don't have to, but I like to have it as a nice dumpling, and it makes it nice and fluffy. About a half a teaspoon of salt, and then milk. And now I'm using powdered milk because my regular milk I ran out, and my other milk hasn't thawed yet. So I just have some powdered. I always keep powdered milk in my cupboard for just exactly something like this. I run out of milk for whatever reason, and I want to continue to do something. I just use the powdered milk. 1 tablespoon of powder to approximately 1 cup of water. Now, the dumplings should be very thick, and this is pretty much it here. Now, I'm going to just take a spoon or a couple spoons and my gravy's in there, starting to thicken. So I just make sure my spoon is full of gravy, and I put it inside, and that'll rise up into a nice dumpling or a biscuit. Pretty simple. Everything's simple, you know. It's never as hard as you think it is. And because it's just the 2 of us, I'll probably be doing a lot of freezing once we've had our supper, and maybe I'll keep enough for tomorrow. Of course, Alex is a growing boy, so he very well may eat it before I get anywhere near the freezer. That's what happened the other day. Okay, so that's that. And now I'm just going to cover it back up and clip it together and give it probably about 20 minutes. And it'll be ready. And that's it for a stew. I'll let you take a look at it once it's done. Okay, look at the dumplings. They've all risen nice, and they made themselves a nice little bun underneath. So I'm just going to take some out. As they're completely cooked through and through. And this is supper. So that was pretty simple making stew. And again, you could make any type of stew you choose. Put the dumplings in or not. It's absolutely up to you. It's your meal. You decide what you like. So that's about it. Have a great day.